How is this not just all about ensuring that President Trump can't run in 2020 when the Democrats have made sure to stipulate that he can no longer run for office or hold any positions of power or any honors in the future? Tell me that's not about obstructing the 2020 election. The Legion of Doom, aka the Democrats, the Democrat Party can't help but reveal their own evil intent as they try to undermine the 2016 presidential election by fraudulently attempting to impeach President Donald Trump.
Christmas is practically here. I must find some way to keep Christmas from coming.
The first vote for the impeachment inquiry was held on Halloween.
Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. No. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
And the last impeachment vote was on Friday the 13th. Thanks to Nadler making a last-minute schedule change.
Therefore, the committee will now stand in recess until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Just push Jesus aside and go right for the Satan vote.
Until let history be our judge, the committee is in recess.
Mr. Chairman, this is the kangaroo court that we're talking about.
Seriously, as if Trump's conservative Christian base isn't sophisticated enough to notice.
The president has just sent a letter to the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. Let's go straight to our White House correspondent, Caitlin Collins, who has the details. And Caitlin, what is the president saying?
He says, even worse than offending the founding fathers, you are offending Americans of faith by continually saying, I pray for the president, when you know this statement is not true, unless it is meant in a negative sense.
Your reaction to the president's letter?
No reaction. It's ridiculous. No, I haven't really fully read it. We've been working. I've seen the essence of it, though, and it's really sick.
It's a witch hunt, it's a sham, it's a hoax.
But there's a group that's not amused. The Witches of Washington.
To have the president of the United States claiming to be the target of a witch hunt feels like it's just wrong.
I can hear the liberals now. They didn't do that on purpose. It's just a coincidence that you Christians are reading into.
When the witches, like you see here, are gathered, President Trump does come up.
Sure.
He does.
Not only does he come up, but there are people in the community that take action, through magic, through spell work, to try to change the circumstances.
Protesters hoping to impeach the president with a curse.
As if unintentionally bookending the impeachment inquiry with dark holidays isn't prophetic to some degree.
Who could it be? Who could it be? I just can't imagine who. Could it be Satan?
Not to mention the quid pro quo, or bribery as Nancy Pelosi would like to call it.
E pluribus unum from anyone, and so I said from anyone, quid pro quo, bribery.
Is no longer needed and doesn't even make it into the Democrats' final draft of their bogus impeachment. Yet, it was the initial cause of action for the impeachment inquiry in the first place.
Speaker, you yourself accused him of bribery. Why did you decide not to make bribery one of the articles of impeachment?
I myself am not a lawyer. Sometimes I act like one.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
Not as often as I act as a doctor. I practice medicine on the side without benefit of diploma, too.
And the reporter was shocked when they got this answer because it showed she's a liar.
Oh, what's this? A last-minute report including bribery and several criminal offenses that details all of the horrendous crimes and bad things that Trump has done. Yet, why was none of it included in their impeachment inquiry?
Some swing district Democrats are already feeling the heat from their constituents.
I made this decision out of principle and out of a duty to protect and defend the Constitution.
Freshman Democrat Representative Jeff Van Drew, who has strongly opposed the House Democrats' efforts to impeach President Donald Trump, has reportedly begun telling colleagues that he plans to switch parties.
It reminds me a lot of what the Air Force describes as target fixation, when a pilot gets so fixated on a target that he forgets to fly his plane and ends up crashing into a mountain. I think that's where the Democrats are.
It's getting so bad that even Democrats are abandoning the Democrat sinking ship, trying to get out from what has been the biggest sideshow circus in modern times.
These people are clowns. The Democrats are clowns. They're being laughed at all over the world.
So help me understand when you mean you need someone who can win. Does that mean you're willing to compromise if you think this is the person who can beat Trump?
If it's Bozo the clown, and he's a Democrat, I'll take him over Trump.
But something isn't quite adding up, because several anomalies stand out. Why would the Democrats who want to impeach President Trump for abuse of power want President Trump to have the powers granted by the NDAA?
The House passed the National Defense Authorization Act.
Conference report is adopted without objection.
It authorizes an overall defense budget at $738 billion.
There were a number of concessions from Democrats.
If he's really this scary authoritarian, why give him Space Force?
One project with the National Defense Authorization Act, a new home for the U.S. Space Command and Space Force.
If he's really this racist, putting children in cages at the border, criminalizing so-called refugees, why give him border security?
There were a lot of progressive liberal policies that were taken out, like closing down Guantanamo, tying the president's hands on the border.
Why does the establishment on both the Democrat and Republican side appear to be using this impeachment as a way to extort President Trump into their bidding?
On Tuesday, the Senate voted overwhelmingly 86-8 to pass the bipartisan defense policy bill, giving President Trump the opportunity to sign a bill he's labeled a critical priority.
And it must have taken some convincing with President Trump, because he made sure to negotiate in the border security, the Space Force funding, even paid maternity leave. Every campaign promise that he has still yet to accomplish, he made sure to get in that NDAA deal. Meaning, he really didn't want to sign it, but he knew he was going to be forced to go along with it anyway. Otherwise, the establishment Republicans could potentially impeach him in the Senate.
I've heard Mitch, I've heard Lindsey. I think they are very much in agreement on some concept. I'll do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't mind a long process, because I'd like to see the whistleblower who's a fraud.
Maybe that's why Mitch McConnell is now letting the White House have full say over how the Senate handles this impeachment.
I'm going to coordinate with the president's lawyers, so there won't be any difference between us on how to do this.
Why is McConnell strategizing with the White House and taking on the role of a jurist in Trump's impeachment trial at the same time?
You see, elections have consequences. By a significant number of Trump's base deciding to sit it out in the 2018 election because, hey, we'd already won.
I have people, and you see the polls, how good they are. I have people that won't vote unless I'm on the ballot.
We find now our president having to compromise his position, where he's having to give the Republican war hawks what they want in order to hold off a partisan impeachment led by the Democrats in the House.
Assuming the articles are adopted by the House, the 4 witnesses we propose have direct knowledge of why the aid to Ukraine was delayed. We don't know what kind of evidence they will present. They might present exculpatory evidence that helps President Trump. It may be incriminating against the president, but they should be heard.
Welcome back to Wheel of Misfortune. Only one letter missing. There it is. Mitch McConnell, can you solve the puzzle? One letter.
And House Democrats actively decided not to go to court and pursue potentially useful witnesses because they didn't want to wait for due process. They threatened to impeach the president if they had to go to court at all, poised to send the Senate the thinnest, least thorough presidential impeachment in our nation's history. So now, the Senate Democratic leader would apparently like our chamber to do House Democrats' homework for them.
It's not like they don't have warhawk John Bolton in waiting to throw President Trump under the bus so the Rhino Republicans can go along with this impeachment or anything.
In fact, in the case of Mr. Bolton, his attorney stated publicly that he has additional relevant information to share. Information that has not yet become public.
The two couldn't even agree on the manner of his departure. Donald Trump tweeted that he fired John Bolton and disagreed strongly with many of his suggestions. But minutes later, Mr. Bolton gave his own version of events, saying he offered to resign.
So what do? We learn a valuable lesson. Elections matter, and they have consequences. If the American people don't get out and vote, then we are handing our country over to the establishment, whether we like it or not.
From 1984 through 2012, American University history professor Alan Lichtman's popular vote predictions were perfect. Back in May, you told CNN President Trump will win the 2020 election unless, quote, the Democrats grow a spine and do their constitutional duty and move into an impeachment inquiry. So they've launched their inquiry. Is that enough? Do you believe the 2020 election is now the Democrats to lose?
No. The impeachment of Bill Clinton was the best thing that ever happened to the Republicans politically, not the worst.
So all of this worry by Nancy Pelosi and Democratic leaders that going down the impeachment road would be politically disastrous for the Democrats in 2020. She said, let's beat them at the ballot box. Let's not do it this way. That is not the way you see it.
It's a complete misreading of history, and it's a complete misreading of how you predict presidential elections.
And that can be a foreshadowing of our 2020 elections. Our president is but one man, and he needs his fellow citizens to take action rather than expecting him to do everything on his own, which is unrealistic. Our rights are hanging in the balance. Are you going to take action to protect them for yourself and your future children and grandchildren? Or are you going to stand by and let these criminal Democrats destroy our country? When the Constitutional Convention of 1787 was finally deliberated, a woman was reported to have asked Benjamin Franklin, "What have we got, a republic or a monarchy?" To which he replied, "A republic if you can keep it."
The future is now.
They had us as number 1 on Droid, number 3 on Apple. Then we went back to get screenshots because our numbers showed us number 1, and we're gone.
How did you decide to ban Alex Jones?
What users want from us, and what we've always provided them, is a curated platform. If you're going to curate, that should be all.
Let me tell Tim Cook something. We're watching you and what you're doing.
InfoWars is steps ahead of the globalists and their censorship agenda.
Getting ready to launch the next few months new apps. Now it's easier than ever to have band.video on your iPhone. Simply go to band.video with your Safari browser. Then you click the share button at the bottom of the screen. When the menu comes up, you simply click Add to Home Screen. You will now have band.video app on your home screen, despite the fact that Tim Cook tried to stop it. So it's up to you whether you want to defy big tech and click the share buttons below. Be sure and share band.video.